Hi, Paul from Volaticus, an aero production company with an interest in simulation and aviation, and today we are going to be flying X-Plane 12, one of the included aircraft, which is the Cirrus SF-50. We're going to be flying this to Bella Coola in northern British Columbia in Canada, and we're going to be flying this from Anahim Lake, which is just here. So you can see it's going to be a flight into sort of mountainous terrain, and part of the reason for the flight today is to demonstrate ForeFlight as a navigation tool, and also more specifically ForeFlight's synthetic vision, which is kind of virtual reality, which is shown here, and actually it'll become a little bit more clear as we approach into Bella Coola. So let's just use ForeFlight initially to plan the route. I'm just going to clear annotations. There we go. So we're parked at CAJ4, which is Anahim Lake. Just bring that up to screen.
Alpha, GA, tie down, small via Alpha, and apron. Taxi to GA,
and add that to the routes, and then we're going to put CYBD, the way of entering, and that gives us a straight line, as you can see. So one of the issues with this, and just bear with me a minute, I'm just going to silence the radio here for a minute. Got the Unicom on. One of the reasons I want to show this is because it's mountainous terrain. We need to descend into Bella Coola. Is obviously we're going to be descending within the valleys, and we just need to have some assurances to clearance from some of the mountains. So what I can do with ForeFlight is I can plot a visual track which will allow us to descend clear of obstructions. And you can see some of them here. This one here is 694 feet. There's not really many of those dotted on here, but all of them are around sort of between 5,000 and 8,000 feet. What I plan to do is after takeoff we will just route out to the south end of Anahim Lake here. Let's add a waypoint there. And then what I need to do is to give myself a bit of a descent line, really. It doesn't have to be a straight line. So if we can pick up on the map, get the track there, just drag that over. And what I'm going to do is build a sort of slow path, descending path that allows me to be clear of some of the mountains, the peaks. That one there will do, and possibly come down here even. And you can always refine it once you've got the line in there, just to make sure that you are not flying too near the peaks. That's fine. Just remembering to save each one of those. And what it's done here, ForeFlight's actually plotted these latitude and longitude points, and you can save these. I could actually save this as a route. If I was doing this flight regularly, I could save the route. Next time I could just bring that up. And the other thing is that we don't have any weather for Bella Coola at this time, and the reason for it is because I'm flying this in under UTC time, which is in England. Bella Coola does report weather, but it is currently just doing a bit of maths, about just after 2 in the morning, so it's maybe 3 in the morning. It's not open all day and all night, so we're going to have to hazard a guess as to weather. I'm using real weather here in ForeFlight and X-Plane. ForeFlight will actually report real weather as well, but there's sometimes a little bit of a discrepancy. No ATIS for Anahim Lake, so what I've done is I've taken the elevation 3640 approximately from here. Wrong one, Anahim Lake, so it's 3644. I've dialed that into the altimeter and it's given me a pressure setting. It's not going to be far off, it's not a 100% accurate way of doing it, but it was substantially out when I first loaded up the flight sim. Flight today, well, I'm not sure about, it looks like it's fairly broken, and look at the clouds. Looks like it's probably going to be some rain en route. We'll get up to at least 12,000, at least give us clearance from these mountains. And then we can start the descent probably around here. I'll start the descent to get into Bella Coola. But again, you know, as pilots, we reassess and readjust our plan as it go on. Let's just check. First of all, let's just check the fuel state of the aircraft. So we have adequate fuel for the flights. We're not going anywhere after Bella Coola, and I think they probably have some Jet A1. If not, we'll have enough to get back here without any problem. Right, let's get going. So the other thing to mention is I'm using the couple of Elgato Stream Decks as keyboards shortcuts. Very, very handy. I'm going to photograph those and actually include that in this video. Let me just do that now. So there's the left hand side and the right hand side, and these are the extra large ones, which means that they have 32 keys each, 64 possible programmable keys. I will be doing a separate video on how I use those Stream Decks with X-Plane, but for now I'm just going to use those as keyboard shortcuts instead of some of the keys on the aircraft. Okay, so let's get going then. So strobe lights can come on, and we can put the nav lights on as well, actually. Brakes are set. Ignition can come on and start. So I've not plotted any route in the G1000 on the Cirrus. We will be just using heading mode on the autopilots and visually trying to fly the track. We could actually enter these coordinates if we wanted. I suppose if I was doing this regularly, I probably would want to save this as a flight plan. We have a good start there. Let's load the aircraft up. So I'm going to use the buttons on the Elgato Stream Deck. We have a high volt alert. I often see that, and I'm not really sure what the resolution to that would be. Temperature-wise, -11. It's quite a cold day here, so we're going to definitely need some anti-icing. Cloud layer looks like it's not particularly low, so we can take off with the standard anti-icing and pitot heat on, and then stick on the engine and airframe and windshield anti-ice as we climb out. But if we encounter any precipitation, it's going to be freezing precipitation, so just to be aware of that. Another aircraft just taxiing out now. We're going to go up to 12,000 feet, so let's set that up on the thing here. So that's, I've got that on a joystick button. In fact, most of this is actually on a joystick or the Elgatos, just trying to avoid having to click onto the within the sim wherever possible. Okay, let's get going. So clear all around, and what we will do is we will take off runway 31, which is where we're based at the moment. If I just zoom in, I'm not sure we've got anything in here. Let's just have a look. Okay, so Anahim has a chart, Bella Coola does not, and that shows us actually we are at the 1-3 ends, not 3-1. Sorry for that. Yes, I see that now. Okay, so we can take off 1-3 as the light is the wind is fairly light. Okay, so holding on the foot brakes and release the brakes, and let's get going. It's not a particularly short runway, so we should be okay to depart flap up on this occasion. But one thing to note is it's very icy, and I love the rendition of ice in X-Plane 12. I've never seen it so accurately depicted. Okay, some pre-takeoff checks, so we can stick the landing light on now. Pitot heat can come on as well, probe heat as they call it. Check the runway's clear. I'm not going to bother with ATC at this time. Transponder wise, I will put in a code. We've got 1200 at the moment, which is our VFR, so let's put 3245 and put that onto ALTS and back. Still clear, okay. So 13 for departure. Slippery runway is something we have to be obviously cautious of. So if I slam the brakes on now, you see it's sliding a little bit. Let's get the bigger screens for takeoff. Bit of back pressure. Slowly ease up. Gear up. And set the climb attitude and autopilot there. Flaps are already up. Gear is confirmed as up. Do now is set the heading sync and heading mode, and we put the vertical speed mode as well on, and that will arm for the 12,000 foot point. I can see we're going to hit icing pretty quick, so let's switch some anti-icing on here at this point, and we'll do a turning right hand move. What I'll also do is just bring the vertical speed down to about 1200 so we can build up some airspeed. It's always a good idea if your takeoff is taking away from the desired route is to fly at lower speed and then build your speed up as you are in the climb. And what I'm going to do is fly to intercept the route, and then I will just set headings on the autopilot. Okay, at 130 I'm going to put it into flight change mode, and that will hold 130 and continue the climb. I'll do about 45 degree turn to the left, that's about 250 degrees. Let's do that now. Should be about right. And just check very light wind from the left, so no need for any correction really on that. Take us to our first waypoints, Anahim Lake.
Altitude.
As a 1,000 foot warning. And as I've put those waypoints in now, if I bring up the nav log, it will actually give you the heading to fly. So it says 251 now, and then 234 will be the next one. So it just gives us a bit of a heads up as to how our navigation is going to work. But as I say, I'm actually flying this manually on autopilot in terms of the navigation, just taking the headings from ForeFlight and putting them in. So you can just see the tip edge of the lake there, I think that is. Not really a visual flight, but you can see it there. And it looks like it's been snowing here overnight. And this, one other thing I really like about X-Plane 12 is the real weather and the seasons. It's fabulous. Okay, speed's building now, 200. We'll just keep it building up to about 230 or so. We are fairly low level here today. Could actually continue up to flight level 200. Let's do that. Select flight change mode, and I'm just going to bring the speed back a bit to set us in a bit of a climb. Approaching the waypoint now. Can't really see the lake anyway, so ForeFlight's handy really for giving you some visual confirmation on the ground. And this layer actually gives you a little bit of ground detail, which is obviously important for these flights. So here we are just approaching the waypoint, so it's 235 is our next, approximately. I'm going to stick the master oxygens on as well, and that's because we're now flying above 12,000 feet and need to have that switched on above that sort of altitude. And keeping all of the anti-ice on at this time for the whole flight. So what I wanted to show really, the main point of this video today, is to show you the synthetic vision, which is kind of virtual reality rendition of the terrain. So let's switch that on now. As you see, it now shows you a kind of simplified view of the mountains based on terrain data. It is a bit like virtual reality because you can actually move that view around and see to the side, which is really important if you're doing a turn, just to make sure that you're not about to plough into mountains. It is colour coded as well, so green basically means your current elevation puts you above that obstacle. And I can't see anything at this altitude that we would knock into, as I would expect. But as we come down, you'll see some of those peaks turn red, and that's really handy information. So I'm going to correct our heading 10 degrees approximately to get us back on track. And also on ForeFlight I've set it up so it gives us our bearing to the next waypoint. So in fact it says 232. We could just put that in 232, and then that should get us to our waypoint perfectly. At the time we get there, we'll be right over that waypoint. So we're probably not going to reach
cabin altitude.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we're
Cabin
getting
altitude.
that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to set and lock the heading at the altitude at that point, and let's come down a little bit. Let's put it, we'll come down to 12 actually. So vertical speed. And 1500. We would normally put masks on at this point if we've got a warning such as that. It's really beautiful out here actually. I've not seen it with a snow covering before. I fly in here, this region quite a bit, but so far I've not had any doubts of snow. So what's the next turn point? It's going to be 297. And the other thing I'll do is put track forward on. That's really useful if we've got, if we're using the synthetic vision. And let's do turn now to 297. And we'll continue the descent. So what this is helping us do is coordinate our descent within the valley. As you see, we have a bit of a mountain range here, mountain range the other side, so it's just helping us do that. Overflown that a little bit and now bearing 302, so let's stick in 305. Make sure we come back on track and we will continue the descent. I'm just going to bring the descent rate down further. We'll come down to 2,000. So 1,000 foot warning, and we'll come down to 8. And bring the speed back as well. So the synthetic vision is not intended to enable you to fly IFR in mountains and valleys. That would be suicide. And I'm sure ForeFlight would not advocate its use. However, if you're flying an instrument approach that is within mountainous terrain, or just flying visually, it's a really good augmentation of what's around you. And if you hit some bad weather unexpectedly as well, it gives you some incredible assurance as to what you're about to knock into or not. Right, next heading, 251. So let's give that a bit of an advance this time, so 251. See, the clouds below us is really obscuring our view of that valley, and that's obviously a danger. 250 now. And we'll continue come down to 4,000, and this is where it's going to become really critical. We've got good visibility ahead at this time, but obviously we're going to be entering some cloud descending through this layer. So it's handy actually having that assurance. Just lost the network connection. Just bear with me a minute. No, you really wouldn't want that happening in a flight, but it's probably a problem with my connection with X-Plane than any fault with ForeFlight. So we're getting pretty close now, and there's the valley straight ahead of us where the airport will be located. I'll just bring it left slightly to bring us back on track, and our next heading, 225. Actually, I've got good visuals now, so I'm just going to fly by reference to the terrain. I'll just bring the speed back as well. So, Bella Coola elevation is only 117 feet, so it's almost sea level. Now, as you can see on the synthetic vision, the red's now appearing at the top of the mountains, and you can see that we would be, it's showing us what we would actually collide with at our present altitude, and that red will obviously increase as we start descending. Now I can actually see the runway straight ahead. Looks like it here. That's not normally very clear, but I think actually in icy and snowy conditions it's a lot clearer. So we have a couple of choices. We can either circle in this area. This is about the only area which we can do this, and I think that's what I'm going to do, is just do a wide descending circle. And this is again where the ForeFlight's synthetic vision really is useful. So it makes us aware of what's around us. And we'll come down further. We have to be a little careful. Let's do a speed hold now. And then switch to VS mode. So sometimes I take over from the autopilot because it's obviously it's giving us a very light turn, and I think I'm going to do that now. So my aircraft. And so we can switch the flight director off as well. And you see the synthetic vision really filling with red now, which is what you'd expect. You do get close to the mountains. You do get very close. So what I'm going to do is fly straight ahead and just continue the descent, because we're way too high for on our initial approach. And there's all kinds of little paths in. Without ForeFlight or any kind of detailed map, you could easily end up flying down that path on the left there and thinking that's your way out and hit a dead end. I'm going to stick the gear down and a stage of flap as well. One great thing about this aircraft is its capability of flying really slow. Now I've got disorientated there myself. I was thinking I completely lost sense of direction there, but I just regained it there. So again, it's very easy to do. Okay, runway's there. It's very much clearer seeing that on in snowy conditions.
Altitude.
So 1,000 foot warning. Just bring in low speeds and just hold that altitude for the moment, and then we'll put the final stage of flap in. But one thing I noticed on the SF50 is you need a huge amount of power once you put that final stage in. So you really want to be on like a sort of 1 mile final in order to do that. It's about 1,000 foot AGL at this time. So you really see the synthetic vision showing mostly red where the mountains are now, because we're well below, and even the ground starting to go yellow as we get closer to it. Just a quick wind check. Oops. So it looks like a slight tailwind, but I'm happy with that. It's a decent length runway, and 1 knot is not exactly going to be too challenging for us. And it's also directly up our backside, so we should be good. So Bella Coola, this is a commercial version of the airport, so I will put a link in the description. It's one of my favourite add-ons actually. You bring almost any aircraft in here other than airliners. I'm about to put the final stage of flap in, so it's coming in, a bit of forward pressure to counteract the tendency for the nose to go up and bring the speed down as well. So the only thing you have to watch, you have to really check the attitude. Lovely day here. Gears down, flaps down for landing. And just gentle application of the brakes because it's probably fairly slippery here. Lifting the nose up. There's our turn off. We'll do a 180 backtrack. Welcome to Bella Coola. And you can see now on the synthetic vision it's all red, so that's the way it works. I don't quite know what the colour coding means. I think red means you are going to hit it, whatever it's showing in red, and yellow means you're close to it. This is very slippery. I've got the brakes on full here. Let's bring it to almost a halt before we do the turn. There we are. Turn the anti-icing and P2 heat off. Master oxygen can come off as well. So this SF-50 is a great little aircraft for flying. If you're used to flying single engine prop planes, but just want to sort of get around a little quicker, it's a perfect entry to jet flying. Very, very forgiving. Has a very low approach speed, pretty well similar to most twin engine aircraft. It's effortless really to fly. Use the G1000, so if you use that already on other aircraft you should be immediately familiar, and very fuel efficient as well. I mean, the only negative is that it does not quite get the sort of cruise speed that you get from some of the other business jets. Okay, we're off the runway, landing light can come off. That's a real treat for me actually. I've not seen this in snow before, and it's it really is awesome. It looks really good in summer weather as well. I mean, it's a perfect sort of year-round place to go in. Easy flight time from a place like Vancouver or Bellingham or somewhere else in Canada. Whitehorse not far away, and Anahim Lake is probably the nearest actually airport. Bella, the other one on the west coast. Some good choices there. Bring the flap up as well. Just set Being a little bit careful obviously because this looks like it's a little bit slippery. Brakes on. And engine off. Straps can come off, navs off, gens off as well. And we are here. Welcome to Bella Coola. I hope that was a useful demonstration of ForeFlight and synthetic vision. Do check out the Bella Coola package, which I've linked in the description, and also ForeFlight as an aid to your simulation. Thanks for the company today. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Goodbye now.